All right, mic check. Good afternoon, everybody.
Gia, hello.
Hey,
Good morning on my
Starlody. Hey,
end.
Bianca. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah, good. I'm in San Diego and it's morning and it's still very cloudy, so I'm hoping that it's sunnier where you guys are at.
I'm in San Francisco, so not much sunnier, but it's still a lovely
Well,
morning.
I'm glad.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having
I'm
me.
glad you guys woke up early. I'm East Coast, so it's lunchtime here. So I apologize for the early morning, but I hope everybody's having their coffee and happy to have you guys here and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you. I'm actually very excited, so thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. But before we kick it off, quick question, Charlie. Are you a coffee drinker? And if so, what kind of coffee do you drink?
I am a hardcore coffee holic. I was last night, I think I was up till like 3 a.m. because I had coffee at like 8 p.m. I was like, I don't know why I'm drinking this, but I just love coffee. I drink. You know what I've been really into lately is oat milk lattes. I don't know. I just like the taste of the oat milk.
Love it. You
Um,
can't go wrong
yeah,
with a latte. I'm definitely a latte drinker. I'm still drinking almond milk, but maybe I
yeah.
gotta try the oat milk.
You gotta try the oat milk. It's a little more flavorful and it kind of has like a rich and kind of warm flavor to it. I thought like I'm describing wine or something, but it's really good.
Love it, love it. Sorry, I like to start it off with that. But before we get started, really quick, wanted to throw it over to Bianca. Thank you for hosting with me. Maybe you want to give a quick intro and just say hi.
Yeah, I'm excited to be co-hosting with you. I think Oni Force is definitely one of those projects that everybody's heard about. And then as I started speaking to individuals about it, they're like, "Oh my God, they're back!" And what is it that they're doing? So I'm excited to kind of dive deeper. And as somebody who is an anime fan themselves and a big time gamer as well, I'm like really excited to
Let's
ask them
go.
questions. Yeah,
Very
I'm like,
excited.
hopefully you can answer them. I'm like, hopefully it's
We'll
not too much
see.
alpha. We'll see. I get it. I get
I'm
it.
famous for
But
being leaky. I'm like the Tom Holland of NFTs apparently because I just like leak too much stuff. So I'm sure the
that's
listeners
funny.
will be happy.
Yeah, no. So, but I mean, I guess I've been on a few times now, but for those of you who don't know me, most know me from the community building that I've had the opportunity to do with larger companies who have decided to transition their IP into Web3, most notably Warner Brothers, HBO, and a few other large blockbuster,
Hmm.
and also like Looney Tunes and things like that. And then even smaller projects as well. I also love to lend a helping hand to individuals who don't know how to get started in the Web3 space, and I help them out. So it's fun. So when you say you're notorious for bean spillage, so am I. Because a lot
Yay!
of times the
And we're on a
community,
coffee
man,
show, so it makes
yeah,
total
the
sense.
community they can definitely pry it out of you, like asking very specific questions. And I actually see some of the community members that are very passionate here listening in, which
Yeah,
is why yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
So for that's kind of my little intro. So I'm excited to ask specifically kind of about your comeback tour and how that really kind of started with community, and a bunch of stuff really the genesis for you guys started within community. So I'm just really excited to dive deeper into that.
Thanks, Bianca. And yeah, and our guest for today is Starlody. You want to maybe introduce yourself for those that don't know you?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Starlordy here. I'm the CEO of OniForce. I actually have been with OniForce for over, well, it's going to be almost a year and a half pretty soon. I started like very, very late January. I think officially like in the beginning of February last year. I started off very, very initially as a volunteer. Um, I was kind of friends with some of the founders and offered to help out. Then I ended up becoming project manager and then helped lead the process of acquisition eventually and stayed on board as the CEO and part of the ownership group. So yeah, very grateful actually.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here. And yeah, I mean, let's kick it off. I know some people, even when I rocked my PFP, they're like, "What PFP are you rocking?" And then it's like Oni Force has been around since August of 2021. So maybe give us the rundown, like, because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't even know. Like, so give us the rundown of how this started and how you ended up as from community member to CEO and how that transition went.
Sure. It was definitely a long journey. So for people that don't know about Oniforce, I mean, we are the original anime PFP project. We are the first. We minted in August 2021. We were also the first sideways PFP, the first left-facing PFP, the first that created the allow list when it was back when it was called the white list. Um, uh, First to put lo-fi or music into discords, like with lo-fi music and stuff like that. And so Oniforce actually has kind of a rich history of um, doing things first, being innovative, kind of like pushing the boundaries. Um, and it was co-founded by five people that actually met on Clubhouse back in the day in 2021. And we minted right after Bored Apes, so initially it was um, it had a major attention, major celebrity owners right off the bat. People like Gary Vee, Snoop Dogg, Steve Aoki, Logan Paul, etc. Um, Unfortunately, because the ownership group as a whole, they were not really prepared for the level of success it got. They, pretty quickly found out it was really hard to run a global IP, but uh, I think actually in the long run it actually worked out well for us. But you know, for me, I came in as initially as a volunteer. I was friends with the several founders, as I said. I always thought actually it was my favorite art PFP. To me, like when I saw Oniforce, I was like blown away by the art. I was like, whoa! I was like, okay, PFP art could actually be really good. And I thought it was the best in the game. I mean, definitely was the best at the time. I think it's still like holds up and is like top three at least. But um, so I don't know. I heard I didn't know too much of the drama, to be honest, because I was so wrapped up in my own project that I was working on. But I was having lunch one day with JR and my friend William Tong, and I heard there was like some trouble ish, and I just offered to help, and I was like, hey, like if you guys need help, let me know. Actually, little known fact, when Oniforce was also the first NFT project to go to Comic Con in San Diego, and I actually produced the video that they made, which was a recap of the event. So I was like helping out here and there where I could, just like any community member. And when I offered to help, I really genuinely thought I was just going to be like a weekend helper or like like an intern or something. I don't know. I didn't really care. And then my friend William asked me like, "Oh, can you actually manage the project instead?" And I was like, "Sure, I could do that." Now, mind you, when I came in, it had dropped literally from 7 ETH floor to point 0.2. So you could imagine how, and it fell very quickly in the matter of like a month.
When was that, time wise? Was
That
that
was January. Yeah, by January it was point 0.2. I think in October it was like 7 ETH, or I forgot how long it was at the high, um but yeah, it had dropped. It was going to zero. And so it's kind of like the analogy that I used was like I thought I was going over to help like tidy up somebody's house, and then it's more like I get to the house and they open up the door and the entire thing is on fire and they just like throw the keys at me and they're like, "Okay, like we'll see you later." And I was like, "What the heck?" I was like, "What is going on here?" And the first week that I think first 2 weeks that I worked, I literally did like 100-hour weeks back to back, and it was a crazy mess. It was crazy toxic. Like people didn't even know me, and they were making like clown face like memes and emojis of me, like literally on the first day of showing up. Like it was quite a hazing. But there was a lot of love for the brand in the community, which is I fell in love with them very quickly. But the point is, like after 2 weeks of working like 100 hours a week, I went back to founders and was like, I think I need to get paid for this because I was literally volunteering in the beginning. I didn't even ask for money. And so, I didn't really know. It was my first real major NFT project to manage, so it was kind of um, in hindsight, it's kind of crazy that I even took it because if I had known what I was about to go through for the rest of the year, I'm sure I would have said no, because it was a hard journey to be honest, which is all the more sweet now that we have a comeback. But it was difficult for everybody in the community as well because all of the diehards, all of the supporters, um, we were getting dunked on every Discord, any Twitter thread. Like you mentioned Force at that time, and it's just like major, major shade, and a lot of it was directed towards the founders. To be honest, one thing I can give credit to everybody in the space is nobody faded the art or like the actual potential of the brand. Really, what I was hearing all the time was like, oh, like this project should have been great or it should have been a blue chip or it was a blue chip, but it's not because of like the ownership group or whatever. And so I think a lot of people were literally just waiting for that to happen. Now that we finally accomplished that and we have like a new ownership group, that's why the comeback tour is on. I think we've been seeing amazing support from people, a lot of people that were kind of quietly, patiently waiting, a lot of people from outside of our community and other communities. Everybody wants us to win, so it's been. I'm really grateful actually that first of all that I get to be part of it, and I'm very thankful that the community gets to enjoy this next chapter.
Love that. And yeah, I'll throw it over to Bianca there. But what I wanted to mention, why I asked when you joined, because I mean, one thing that did go viral about Owning Force last year was like late November. Everybody saw that. Who was it? Logan Paul
Logan
or Jake?
Paul,
Yeah,
Logan
the
Paul,
head,
with
the
his
major
$10
headline.
NFT,
Yeah, the $10, $600,000 to 10.
600K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that went viral, and
Yes.
you ended up still taking the job shortly after that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I never left. I was part of the community. I was raised by the community, to be honest. And that's just one of those things. It's like a great soundbite. I mean, you could pick a lot of projects that you could say something like that. He bought a Grail at the peak, um, and yeah, I mean, it's clearly the value went down and now it's going back up. So I'm kind
I
of
think,
looking forward to the day where it's worth 600K again.
yeah, I think that speaks volume to your character and to the commitment to the project, because that was definitely something, like you said, everybody was laughing about it on the timeline. But yeah,
Yes.
love that story, and just the fact that you went from community participant to now CEO. Like I love that. But I'm gonna throw it over to Bianca.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's so inspiring, to be honest, because as somebody who is core and really the like in the middle of community for several different projects, it's really hard sometimes to kind of tune out the noise and even fine tune that the way you did, right? Where you're like, I'm actually hearing this, I'm not hearing this about the project, so that means that we
Mm.
can still turn things around, and that's really like awesome to hear. But before I kind of give you your kudos into that, I kind of want to already go into some of the alpha that you dropped, if that's okay with you, Jess.
Yeah, I'd love
Okay,
to move
cool.
forward as to go ahead. I'm for.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to jump like our script, but yeah, last week you announced several different alpha, and I know that you still have some more alpha that you guys are planning to release as the months come by, or even the weeks rather. But
Hmm.
as I mentioned at the beginning of this spaces, is you guys have two of my favorite things, which is anime and video games. And
I
last
love it.
week, Josh, I think Baylock, right? Or am I
Hmm.
pronouncing that? Mentioned a few
Blaylock.
things. Yeah,
Mhm.
he mentioned a few things that I would love for you to dive deeper on if you can. I believe, and sorry if you hear my daughter in the back, I'm on
Hmm.
mommy duty. I would love for you to dive deeper if you can on, I believe the goal is for Oni to premiere two comics during Comic Con this year. The first will be a team
Hmm.
comic called Oni Force, and the second is going to be a community led comic talk called Oni Hunter. I know Josh mentioned there are going to be items going specifically to the community and other items going to the general public. I would love for you to be able to highlight what those items are and how someone right now in the audience can prepare themselves to participate for that.
Yeah, I think basically we have two comics we're launching. One is Oni Force, which is kind of our team book, so you could picture like we're launching X-Men. The other one is Oni Hunter X, which is like a solo mini series, kind of like Wolverine. You could picture. We'll be having a preview edition of for specifically for Comic Con, which is going to feature sneak previews of both comics plus excerpts from Cro-Magnus's comic, which was done previously last year, as well as some other little like goodies and stuff. So it'll be available for print and digital. We'll make sure that the holders have a chance to claim, and that other people in the community will as well. So I'm not sure about pricing or anything like that. I mean, it'll be pretty cheap because it's comic books, but we'll definitely make sure that we announce like how to claim it, but everybody will get a chance to get their hands on it as long as they're early enough.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy that you guys are going to be at Comic Con. And that's just one of the things that you guys are featuring in this comeback tour. Could you
Hmm.
talk a little bit more about like what this transition was? So now you're the CEO. You guys were also bought out or have investors as well. Like, could you talk us about some of those partnerships and maybe new team members and everything
Hmm.
that's happening? There's just so much to cover, so I don't even know where to.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. There's an insane amount of partnerships and alpha that we've dropped, and it's really still just the beginning, believe it or not. We have, I think, starting at the biggest ones. So we're partnering with the Interactive, which is one of only three official partners for Unreal. They've been working with Epic Games before Fortnite was even launched. They're our partners that we're actually building our Fortnite map with. So we're going to be the first PFP project to also have a Fortnite level created at a very like high quality, and that actually is a great opportunity for us to onboard other projects who are looking for exposure into that market, who want to have a chance for their brand to be exposed to, what is it, like 100 million monthly active users around the world. And then vice versa, it's an opportunity for, the Web2 market to actually be exposed to NFTs. I think one thing I could say there, which we didn't actually tease out yet or clarify yet, is that um, technically we could build as many islands as we want that are attached to our map. So, kind of the idea is that, like, if you're one of our ally communities, you have an opportunity where you could have your own map, like your own mini map, basically. It could be your world. So it's like, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting way to unite projects across Web3 into this metaverse, because when you have your own map, like you can have a house to like a building to hang out in and voice chat. And I mean, we're even going to do AMAs in Fortnite, you know. And then people could also play games. You could create different game modes. People are creating all sorts of party games from dodgeball to bowling. I mean, you don't have to just do um, like competitive gaming, but we are going to have like a competitive gaming map, which is going to be like kind of our bread and butter, and we're going to run a lot of tournaments and stuff. So I think it'll be cool. It'll be a really cool opportunity for other projects to participate. So we're going to be opening up applications for that very shortly. So that's kind of the biggest one. We are actually there's several big ones. We are also going pretty
Oh, wait, can
heavy
I
into.
ask a question
Oh, go
about
ahead.
the Fortnite really quick?
Sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I just wanted to ask about like the mindset behind it. Obviously, in the
Sure.
NFT space, every NFT project, okay, we're gonna build our own metaverse.
Mm.
You guys took a completely different approach, and how did that come about?
That's a great question, actually. I mean, um, I mean, similar to Bianca, I love anime and gaming. I definitely almost ruined my life multiple times based on different games that I was hooked on. Um, I think that what happened was with our partner Thea, they kind of reached out to us. They're actually members of the community as well, which is I think actually how it got started, which shows again the power of community. But they reached out and they asked if we wanted to potentially be part of um, you know uh, Fortnite when they opened up the Creator 2.0 program. Um, and for me, it was definitely a no-brainer because, uh, you know, um, like, like, like basically we see it as like when I look at Yuga, right, or I look at Decentraland or Sandbox or whatever, it's like the challenge is that trying to get people from Web 2 to play in a metaverse, it is hard. Um, and I think for us, we want to go in reverse. It's like Fortnite is already a metaverse. It's already been well tested. They've already done things like run massive concerts and stuff. The users are already there. So if our goal is to expand the IP and get as many people to see Uniforce IP as possible, I mean, we want to go where the people are. And so, um, I think like many other projects, someday it'd be nice to have our own quote metaverse, but everything we call metaverses are just closed loop ecosystems, anyways. There's no real metaverse yet. So it's like, why not invest our time and resources into learning how to manage a metaverse that has, like, again, hundreds of millions of people that we could access versus like spending hundreds of millions of dollars potentially trying to build something we're not sure if we can get people there, you know?
Awesome. Makes sense to me. Go ahead, Bianca.
Yeah, I have more questions on that because like Jess, it's so fascinating to me that you guys are bridging really the gap when it comes to online gaming community, but then also getting exposed. And I think you guys are doing it in such a fantastic way to the general mass. And one of my questions that I think um, kind of ties into all of this is one, what does it mean exactly for the project that you guys are going to have your own map and being able to onboard projects? And what I mean by that specifically is, can we expect like exclusive weapons or other items that we can purchase in game or on chain that can only be played in that kind of closed ecosystem map, if that makes sense?
Yeah, this is a great question. Some of it, I have to say, like, it's not 100% finalized yet, but the concept is like, yeah, eventually we could do skins and weapons. I don't, that's definitely not going to happen first. That would probably be like a later thing, but um, for communities that want to be involved, you could do things. For instance, you could place, this is just one idea. You could place NPCs around the map that if you go up to them and you talk to them, they could actually speak to you, and you could actually program in like allow list codes, or like you could do like really fun. Imagine like a scavenger hunt where you had like 12 NPCs around the island, and like it's kind of a story mode, and then each NPC gives you like a part of a seed phrase. Like there's we could do a posters with Easter eggs. We could have like a Dookie Dash poster on the wall or something, in our enclave, or like an arcade or something, and then we can actually, link out or have people like take screenshots of QR codes, that sort of stuff. We're still working out what we can or can't do in those areas. I know, for instance, we can't do like direct links out or whatever. Um, and then we could honor projects in fun ways, like by having custom assets. We could have statues of whales. I mean, there's a lot of things we could actually do. I think the main thing is like we want to create a world where when the average Fortnite user clicks on our map and plays it, they're going to be exposed to a whole new culture, which is put together by the communities that we work with. And this is kind of just the beginning of it. And our plan is basically our strategy is just to be there first, do it really well on a level that like a hardcore Fortnite user would actually judge us on, but then seed in all the cultural stuff that we want to make sure that people can appreciate what we're bringing as a brand.
Great question, Bianca. So we talked about Comic Con, we talked about the Fortnite map. What else is coming up for Oniforce?
Anime content. So we brought on a supervisor named Kush who is very, very experienced in the anime world. We met him in Japan. He's also a community member. He is a very high level animation supervisor that's worked on like major animes. And he's kind of like our internal advisor to help us navigate like as we create our own content. So you can expect us to not only be working on the kind of like high level anime stuff, like talking with studios and things like that. But also, we're going to create our own content. We're definitely not going to rest on our laurels. And I think that we have an opportunity to kind of shake up the space by creating high quality content, both the traditional way with partners, but also we're going to be leveraging technology, like for instance AI, that sort of stuff, to create like really cool content.
I have a question about some of the partnerships when it comes to like anime. Now, are you guys, I know that you have announced doing a comic book and
hmm
an anime. Are you guys planning on, aside from the comic book, maybe doing like some webtoon type of releases or having
Yes.
partnerships with someone that really, oh my God, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
And
I'm
how
just
do you
giving you
guys,
all the beans. It's the
I know.
espresso
I'm like, that
hour.
is super cool. For those of
I
you that
mean,
don't
go ahead.
for the audience members that don't know what Webtoon is, it's probably one of the biggest platforms, I would say, like especially like on iTunes for sure, in the App Store, where you can just basically get, you know, what's funny is their entire business model probably could be set up like on blockchain. You can essentially buy coins, pay for a comic to be released, and then get access to that comic. So I'm assuming you guys are gonna kind of release that way.
Yeah, yeah, very similar to that. I think what we're looking at is we want to be on every platform possible. So we want to make sure that it's not just physical comics, Western style, but also we're going to do manga. Um, and also we're going to be doing, you know, uh, digital comics as well. So I think the main thing is we want to be ubiquitous. Um, and so there's kind of a whole like there's a whole roadmap internal blueprint on how we're going to expand our IP, and we've built a team of people who have already done it for the biggest IP like franchises in the world, like um, David Uslan. His family owns the film rights to Batman. You know, we are working with Paul Jenkins, who is an Eisner Award-winning writer that wrote Wolverine's origin story and wrote for massive video games like God of War. I mean, the people that we have on our team have done Yu-Gi-Oh, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars in terms of franchise experience, and so I think we have a very clear vision. We want to be the top anime IP that was ever born out of Web3. And, we're very aggressively realizing that vision by adding the right people to the team. Um, and this is just the beginning. I mean, I keep saying that to people, and I just want to really like hit home that it's like these announcements we made recently is literally just like the first of many. And you could expect us to keep growing the team and the family, and really just pushing us towards that vision, which is like decentralized storytelling that is multi-platform. So whether it's comics, anime, gaming, like you're gonna have like a really amazing experience with Oniforce.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of partnerships. What else didn't we cover? You also had a partnership with Horizon Labs. You also have a partnership with our
hmm
friends at Origin Protocol.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit more about those. And I also did want to open it up to the audience. If you do have any questions and you want to come up, you can hit request and we'll queue you guys up. But go ahead, Starlord.
Yeah, I think let's see. In terms of partnerships, I mean, Horizon Labs was an important partner for us to help kick off like this relaunch phase because they have a lot of experience in helping to build out projects, utility roadmaps. So they're kind of taking a look at what our internal plans are, adding a lot of value to that, helping to make sure we're kind of future proofed on how we want to develop. Also, they have an amazing network that they're exposing us to. So they've been really amazing. They're definitely great partners. Origin is a partner we've had for a long time. They supported us even when we're at our lowest, and right now they're providing value to the community by airdropping their own token to people who trade on our marketplace, as well as other prizes that we're going to be giving exclusively for trading on the marketplace that they power. And for us, it's important that it's like yes, we are looking for big name partners, people who can help us make like really big moves, but also constantly work with people in the community projects in the community who, especially if they showed their love, at a time when we needed it, I think we'll always like reciprocate and make sure we remember.
I don't see any hands up right now from the community, but I do have one question.
Hmm.
Now you mentioned a lot of different partnerships and just things that you guys have in the works. I wanted to ask how, like someone like Jess who just purchased one of your guys's PFPs, how would they benefit, and what are some things that they can be looking forward to aside from like the community comics and things like that?
Wait, what was the last part? How could we expect what?
Like what can they be expecting in the near future? Like I know that you mentioned you guys are doing some really awesome things that are exclusive for the community and like the holders that have been, around.
Mm-hmm.
So what can they be expecting in the near future?
Yeah, so I think the for our holders, I mean, it's all about giving back. So, I mean, even launching like an off-chain point system to reward people for changing or having their PFP be ONI, you're going to get points for that are redeemable for items and stuff, prizes, that kind of stuff. To how we're going to do future drops. So we want to make sure that the community, the existing holders, they get a lot of value out of it. We're constantly thinking, you know, um, how to make sure as we evolve that people are rewarded for how long they've held, how many they hold, like rarity, like those are all things we're developing. Um, and then providing incentives for people who are new to the project to see some immediate kind of utility and value. So I think like the first thing is the off-chain point system that Horizon Labs is creating with us, and that is what we're going to give immediate value to. But especially in June, you could expect like a lot more announcements and reveals, which kind of point towards like more value for holders.
And then last question for me, because I am from San
Mhm.
Diego. Are you guys going to be doing a community meetup outside of Comic Con?
Oh, you great, you're in San Diego. Yeah, we definitely want to put something together. So we definitely should talk about that. I'll be happy to invite you, but definitely like we're going to make sure that we do something cool in San Diego. It's a big moment for us because that's we're the first project to be there, and we're going to be the first to come back with our own comic book. So we want to make sure that we do it big out there.
Great questions, Bianca. And obviously that's a lot, and I'll throw it back to you in a minute to see if there's anything else that we missed. But
Hmm.
what do you think? I mean, to where you guys were last year to where everything that's happened today, like where was the turning point? Where was that moment that everything just said change that you're like, we're gonna flip this around? What do you think that was?
That's such a great question. I was reminiscing on that recently. So believe it or not, in my second town hall, which was in February last year, almost a year and a half ago, I proclaimed at that time that we would be the greatest comeback story of Web3 when we were at point two and everything was on fire. Um, but the reason why I said that, it was twofold. Number one, the IP itself was really valuable. The art, you know, the fact that it was the first real story based PFP project that had lore, that had such an amazing community, and that is the second point, is that the community itself has always been amazing. You know, the first thing I saw coming onto this project was that, you know, our core community, they're like the best, you know, like they're full of super talented people, artists, creators, um, innovators in their own right, people that really truly love art and storytelling, anime, gaming, all that sort of stuff. Like we have a really good community. Like every community has their own personality, and our community, they're actually all really good people. When you really get to know them, they're really kind-hearted. They really are there for the right reasons. People would make a lot of jokes about, oh, like, are you here for the art? You know, in a cynical way. But the crazy part is, like, our community, they are. You know, like we would always, even at our lowest, I mean, people would be coming in buying Oni and saying they're actually happy that they had the chance to buy in because they really love the art, and they really stuck around for that, you know, and so I knew that that type of purity and uh, kind of faith in the IP and brand would eventually translate as long as we got new owners. So I just knew that we would be a great comeback story someday. It's kind of pre-programmed, and so yeah, I just said it, and um, you know, and then suffered for a year. And then it finally came to fruition. But again, it was already there, and so it kind of reminds me of a quote. I don't know the exact quote, but somebody told me, um, or was paraphrasing Michael Jordan, and he was saying something like, you know, don't try to be great, like just do the things that lead to greatness, right? It's like show up every day and do the work, and then eventually, like, greatness is bestowed upon you, right? And so, like, that's how I approach it every single day when I wake up. I think, okay, what am I going to do to, like, make sure that we are successful at the highest level? And then I think, you know, the community, they're really pitching in on that as well. And I just think the results are self-evident.
Completely agree with that. And you're talking about how great the community is, and just the fact that you came from just being a community participant to now CEO of the project. I think that speaks like a lot to the community itself, because you don't see that a lot in a lot of other projects.
Thank you. Yeah, it is rare. My actually hired my he was the community manager, but now the chief creative officer. He kind of pointed that out to me like a couple months ago that I mean, in a way, like my journey is kind of a feel good story for everyone in the community because of the and I never thought about this, you know, but he pointed out that, you know, it's like you just said, there's not a lot of projects where you can say somebody was like homegrown, like truly, like I was truly raised by the community, you know, like I was like so green when I started. I didn't know hardly anything, and they were the ones that really like stepped in, like kind of taught me the ropes or kind of corrected me when I went the wrong direction or made mistakes. Um, and I think I'm kind of like I am an example that, you know, in Web3 anything is possible. You know, like I remember when I first joined in my first space, um, I had said that you know, it was kind of like a Web3 dream come true for me, because for me it was like the brand, right? It's like my favorite project, my favorite art. So getting a chance to be the project manager was already like a dream come true. I wasn't, again, I wasn't asking for that when I first came on, and it's just proof that if you really work hard, if you have the right intentions, if you actually care about the people that are involved, you have you have a chance to do something special. And so now it's like it was already like a dream come true, and now it's like I have like kind of like a dream job. I have like the best job in the world. I get to wake up and talk about anime and play Harry Potter as research. I mean, it's a great life, you know. Um, Working crazy hard, like basically I'm 24 hours a day thinking about Oni, but I've never like felt this rewarded for what is happening, you know.
Love that. And I'm going to ask another question. It's a little on the same personal note. So obviously, yeah, it's a great story, but we all know that being, running a project and being a founder in Web3, it's hard. And I guess
Mhm.
what do you think it's been harder or easier for you because you came from the community?
um, it was harder when we were down because having constant pressure of the outside world, like again, dunking on you. Like you could imagine, like any Discord you went into, any Twitter thread, any conversation, somebody mentions Oni Force, you immediately get hated on, like hate, like venom. So it's like to be like a supporter and like even like rock a PFP at that time. It's like it shows a lot of strength actually. And so I think the hardest part was like making sure that the community knew that we weren't going anywhere, that even despite all the uncertainty, like with the way that the ownership group was running things, um, that there was somebody, who was on their side that was gonna make sure that we get to like that promised land. Like I remember promising people, I'm just literally saying like just hang in there, and it's like we're gonna get out of this together. It's kind of like we were on a ship that felt like the Titanic, like it was sinking, and like trying to keep people from going overboard, and be like, no, 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 trust me, like it's actually a rocket ship. Like it will go up someday. Like just like hang in there. Like don't worry. And
You
that
guys
was
were the
harder.
violinist playing
It pretty much, yeah,
ragtime.
I love that scene. I was pretty much that guy, like the violinist and a dude with a megaphone, like trying to corral everybody. But I think now it's not hard in the sense that emotionally it's very exciting and gratifying every day. I think the hard part now is that it's like, okay, like it's it's not. I'm not gonna say it's easy, like building like a what we want to be like a $10 billion franchise someday. There's a lot of hard work. Like I think our goal is to create an IP that is generational. That it's not like some virtue signal like, oh, we did it. It's like we're from Web3, but no, it's like we want our IP to be passed down generation to generation, like Star Wars or Naruto or any like top IP, which means that we have to prioritize like extremely high quality storytelling and art and character development and experiences. Like there's no shortcut to doing those things right. Fortnite is an example of us leveraging someone else's platform and IP to have a leg up on that sort of stuff. But the point is like we can't take shortcuts to greatness, right? So we have to actually do the work every day. Rome wasn't built in a day, that sort of stuff. And so I think the hardest part right now is more related to probably my health and time management. I'm like definitely like a hardcore like DGen. Like I'm usually working till like 3, 4 a.m. every day. And it's hard to turn that off actually, but I know sometimes you have to figure that out just to so you can because it's a marathon. It's the crazy part about Web3 is that I guess the hard part is that it's like you're doing a marathon, but it's at a sprinter's pace. It's like you have to run a marathon at top speed because it's like it evolves so quickly. It's 24/7. The meta is always changing. Um, but like they say, like great businesses are built in bears. We're in a bear market, we're one of the only projects of our status that's been moving up. I mean, we've been very fortunate, like, in how we've been successful. So, I think we just got to keep it going.
Love that. And with everything coming up, I do want to make sure that we didn't miss any updates. And if we didn't, so I want to make sure we get all the updates that are coming in. But I'd love to hear, like, what are you most excited for? Like, what do you think is going to be the next, bombshell for the community that everybody's going to be hyped for? What's the next thing for you? If you had to pick one, because there's a bunch.
Wow. Um, oh shoot, what do I say here? There's so many. There's so many things in the works that are going to be huge this year. Well, the first thing I want to say is I'm actually most excited about our community development programs, our franchise model, the Ronin program, the club, the artist program. I think these are all things that are actually underrated in the sense that they're exciting for the community. They're not being fully scrutinized by Web3. But I think like a year from now, when people re-examine it, they will realize like it was actually like one of our greatest chess moves. Because like I mean, we all understand the power of Web3, of decentralized community building, the fact that any one community member can add exponential value to a brand, right? And so far, most brands have kind of left people to their own devices by saying, hey, like, buy this PFP and then good luck, you know? But we're actually creating infrastructure to support our community, to give them better resources and ability to be successful. And I think that's going to be a huge lever and a major difference maker in terms of how we build this out. So again, it's like um, a year from now, when you see all the amazing things that the community has created, from businesses to art projects to initiatives, that sort of stuff, I think all other projects are going to be looked at like, hey, like, if Force is giving these resources to their community, like, why aren't you giving your resources as well? Because there's a lot of projects out there that have stupid amounts of millions of dollars, which for any startup, it's like ridiculous how much money some of these projects have. And when I looked at these projects, I'm like, if I had 20 million or $100 million in the bank, like, I would be giving a lot back to the community personally. And we don't even have those types of funds, to be honest, but we're still doing it. So I think we want to set that example where, you know, we're going to show the world like how strong our community is, and then that is going to create a new standard, you know. So yeah.
Thanks, Lordy. Bianca, any questions or comments?
No, I mean, yeah, I have one last one. Is there any keynote dates that you think everybody here should be kind of bookmarking for, for the future or near future?
Um, wait, you're asking me?
Yeah, like I know you guys are shooting for Comic-Con for your comics. Now I know you gave us a little bit of alpha with like Webtoon. Are there any specific dates on when that's gonna happen?
I feel I've gotten so much alpha on this call. I would have to say that you have to stay tuned for the next week, and we'll reveal some dates and stuff. I will say Comic Con itself is a major milestone, so you could expect that to be a very, very special event. But leading up to it, there's going to be a lot more developments that are going to excite people, so they're going to have to pay attention and stay tuned for that.
We'll be on the lookout. And before we wrap it up, because I know you're very busy,
No worries.
thoughts about the future. We're, a couple years from now, like, what do you want when somebody says Oni Force? What do you want them to resemble that name with, or associate that name with?
That's a great question. I think there's three core tenets to our identity, which is number one, we want to be like a AAA storytelling platform. So we're going to provide extremely fun and valuable like storytelling experiences across the board. So just, I always said from the beginning, like fun is a utility actually. So again, we want to build, you know, a world, you know, a top level IP in itself, which means that the story and art has to be excellent. Second thing is we're building ourselves to be a home for artists. So it's like if you're a creator, not just like visual artists or whatever, but even like developers, um, storytellers, writers, marketers, whatever, like people who actually build in this space, like we want to be a home for all of those people. So I think similar if you look at Pixar or Marvel Studios, there's like a prestige of like working with them, right? Because like it's like the best talent in the world. We're building that as a home for ourselves as well. And then I think the third thing is we just want to be like a light for the space, to be honest. Like I think we're in the early stages of our industry. What I've learned is that any new industry that's being formed, the people who are there early are the ones who actually set the values, who set the kind of code of conduct, the kind of morals in the space. We've had way too many bloodsuckers and liquidity suckers and scammers and grifters. I mean, I've never seen an industry that it's like that like prevalent. And so I think as a greater mission, it's actually important for us to actually care about the people in the space. There's a lot of people who's been hurt in this space by bad actors that if those bad actors didn't exist, there would be actually more people in the space today, in the retail sector. And so I think it's very unfortunate how many people who's lost a lot of money, time, emotional like damage and stuff just because somebody else on the other side of the computer was greedy or fake. And so I just think it's actually really important for us to set a better example and to actually care about the people that we're serving.
Love that. Yeah, that it was Bianca. Oh, sorry, Bianca, I thought you had your hand up. No, I completely agree with what you're saying. And yeah, it's been a great convo. I'm
Mhm.
obviously a fan, and my disclaimer is that we set up this call, and I just did my research just to prep for this show, and I was like, oh wait, these guys are building something really cool here.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
yeah, so I'm glad that we did end up making that connection because I'm
Mhm.
actually, it got me interested into what you guys were building. And another disclaimer, this was even before you guys dropped all the alpha. So that was all.
Oh, I know. I appreciate you. Believe me, anybody that has the Oni PFP, like instantly in my the upper echelon of appreciation. So I do really appreciate the support and interest.
Yeah, and I'm also part of the Sand Sound community, and I know you guys share one of the artists as well. So that's also how I knew about you guys. But yeah, it's been a great conversation. Anything you want to leave us with?
Fun fact, I'm actually wearing Sand Sound earbuds right now to do this space. So I'm a huge fan, obviously, as well. And I know we're going to do some sort of collab with them soon. Was talking with Kaku last night, so you could expect something fun out of that realm as well.
Nice. But yeah, Starlordy and thank you so much for coming today. It was great chatting. And Bianca, thank you so much for co-hosting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Oni Force comes out with in the next few weeks, months, and even years.
Absolutely, yeah. It's expect a lot more fun stuff this month. So um, anybody who isn't in Uniforce yet, I think it's worth taking a look at, but it's not a sales pitch because we're gonna actually create opportunities for all communities to join in what we're doing, whether you have an Oni or not. So I think it's going to be a great moment for the space overall.
Yeah, give Starlordy a follow, give Oni Force a follow so you can keep up to date with what's going on. Bianca, any last words?
No, I think I squeezed all the juice I could from
You got a lot of
Starlord.
juice out of me. That was a
You're
pretty good
good.
job. That's a high level of
Yeah,
of
I learned from
info.
community myself on how to ask questions, so I'll give them that, right? But
Very
thank you
good.
so much for entertaining that anyway.
Oh, it's been great. It was super fun. Time flew by.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. And we'll be back on Friday for another episode of Crypto and Coffee. Thanks, guys. Have a
Woo!
great
Let's
day.
go. Thank
Let's
you.
go.
Okay,
Bye.
talk soon. Cheers.